Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about how to set your coach house up when you arrive at your campsite. We did a little pre-work here to kind of cut the videos down a little bit shorter, but the how-to, this particular video is going to cover how to park your vehicle. It's going to cover how to set up your jacks. It's going to cover how to set up your vehicle on the exterior, and then basically what's going to happen on the inside. Not a real long video, but we want to kind of cover some of the basics. We set this vehicle up, already parked it in the spot, so it's really helpful when you're backing into a site that you have some help. You get somebody to help you, guide you, and try to put the vehicle in the flattest spot possible. Because we find the flatter the spot, the better that your automatic leveling system is going to work. This one, we went ahead and put our shades in the windows. These come standard with Coach House. They're reflective on one side. Kind of a first generation for these, but they're very, very efficient for the air conditioner inside. What happens is your biggest heat loss is going to come out these front windows. So by insulating the front windows, we're able to control and keep the vehicle more at a constant ambient temperature inside the coach, which is very, very nice. Now we came inside the vehicle, and what we want to show is how you're going to set this vehicle up. So I've driven in, I've had some help getting into the campground. Now what do I do? The first thing you want to do is put your emergency brake on. Depending on chassis, it's going to be down by the floor. There's hand levers. Depending on the chassis, the brake has to be initiated before anything's going to work. The next thing you want to do is turn your ignition on. Sometimes you need to start the vehicle, but for the most part, the ignition will take care of it. Now, over by the side entry door on all of our vehicles, I'm going to go ahead and initiate this because it takes a minute. This is our HWH controller. And what this is going to do, all of our leveling systems, except for the Platinum 3, are all HWH, and both of them are fully automatic. So what this is doing right now, we've activated the hydraulic leveling system to go down, and right now we're moving. It's setting us up. It's going to level us so that everything flows properly, your drains work good, and you're very, very stable when you camp. So this is it takes a couple minutes in order for this to level itself out, and it'll jerk around a little bit, but it's all done on a device that knows it's level. So it's really, really a nice feature. HWH is fantastic because I push the button once. Sometimes you push it twice, but there we go. We're totally level. All of our indicators are telling us that we're level, which is a really nice feature. Now, once we get level, the next thing to do is to put your slide outs out. So by a push of a button, our HWH hydraulic slide room is moving out. And again, this is controlled hydraulically as well. Coach House does not use any type of electric systems in our slide rooms or our jacks. They're all hydraulic. And I've talked about this many times and how reliable the hydraulic systems are versus the electric system. So kind of gives you it in a nutshell. Now we also pre-plugged in, so we had a little air conditioner because we are in Southwest Florida. So the controller, depending on air conditioning systems and furnaces and things of that nature, are going to be somewhere in the front of the vehicle. This one happens to be right here. It's a Truma controller. So with this, we're able to set our temperature in the coach and have the air conditioning through our ducted system or the furnace ducted be able to heat and cool this vehicle to the temperature that you desire. Now, once the jacks are down, there's this faint beeping you might hear. That's because I left the ignition on. The ignition has to be on to operate the slide rooms and the leveling system. Once they're done, shut your key off and you're good to go. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to show you kind of how to hook your vehicle up when you finally are set up like we're set up. We've backed in, we've had help, we haven't hit anything, which is nice. We've operated our automatic leveling system, we've put our slide outs out, and I like to do it in that order. The leveling system creates the base. You don't have to. but it does create the base for your slide rooms, depending on whether you have 0, 1, or 2, to operate smoothly and correctly. So now we're going to go outside and we're going to show you the functions of how all of our connections work. Now we've moved to the back of the vehicle, and this is our central utility compartment on all of our motorhomes. Whether it's a Ford, a Mercedes, a Transit, whatever it is, we try to set everything up on the driver's side back quarter panel so it's easy to access. So with this vehicle, open your doors, you've pulled in, everything's safe, you've got your jacks down, you've got your slide out, and what Coach House provides is a starter kit. Now what's nice about this starter kit is you're going to get all your basic stuff. You're going to get your water hose, you're going to get your sewer hose, you're going to get some toilet paper, you're going to get a pressure regulator for your water hose, you're going to get a 110 volt adapter. This is kind of a neat device, but I'll caution you on how to use it in a few minutes. So when you get to the campground, you've got all of the necessities that you're going to need in order to connect your coach. You got your water hose, so you throw your water hose out, connect your fresh water hose. Done. Cable TV. Now I just made a small cable. All I want to do is show you the end. Cable TV. If it's dark, you can flip on your courtesy light. And then you have your bayonet fitting for your sewer hose. You're done. It's very, very simple to hook up a coach house. The last thing that we do is hook up electric. So you'll take your smart plug and you will connect it. The smart plug is a very positive connection. You don't have to worry about arcing. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things to connect. And that's it. You're ready to camp. So what we like about Coach House is it's very simple to operate. I did this all in a minute. Now, what's nice about Coach House and what we do is prior to leaving, once you're ready to go, you pull your body waste first. This coach has been winterized, so there's no body waste in it. First, it all goes out your sewer hose into your campsite that you're staying in. Most of them do have a discharge station right on the site. And then you pull your liquid waste, which is going to be your sink water, shower water, semi-clean water, and it helps flush out your hose. We also provide an outside shower. So some people like the outside shower because it can help finish rinsing out your sewer hose, or you can use it for your pets or whatever when you wash, if you need to wash your cat or dog, whatever. Kind of a nice feature. So while I'm hooked up to fresh water, prior to leaving, what I would do is I would turn this petcock valve right here. It turns, and when I turn it, it's going to fill up my fresh water tank off of this hose. So it makes life a lot easier. You don't have to disconnect the hose, and you don't have to take it over and fill up your fresh water tank, which is possible. You can do that as well. Now, something else that's really nice, take your fresh water hose. I say this in some of my other videos. This connection is your black water flush. Now, what you want to be careful is you don't confuse the two. When you're hooked up to black water, you still have you've emptied your holding tanks. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flush this out again. So turn the hose back on. My valves are shut. This goes into the black water tank, which is your waste tank. Turn the hose on, and every, I'm going to say 30 seconds, pull this valve again. Pull the valve. Close the valve. The hose is still running. Let it do its thing. It does not shut off, so you have to be very, very careful that you don't leave this on and walk away. If you get these two confused, it's happened where people will turn on our black water flush and they walk away from the coach thinking it's their fresh water. Fresh water will pressurize and shut down. This will not. So make sure we got them black, we got them white. But this is a really nice feature for flushing out your black water tank. When you're done, again, this hose is not contaminated. We actually run the anti-siphon valve above the floodplain, so you don't ever worry about contamination in your freshwater hose. So you only really need to carry one hose. Connected back up, and I'm ready to go camping. So it really is that easy. And once you get used to the operation of how this works in the back, you're going to find that it is so easy. So when I want to go somewhere, shut off my hose. I'm going to take my coach, throw your hose on your campsite, disconnect the cable, shut off my light, disconnect my sewer, put it down, make sure everything's capped off. 30 seconds, I'm ready to go. Put my slide outs in, raise my jacks up, go to the grocery store, go sightseeing, go traveling, whatever you want to do. When you come back, your stuff is still here. So it's very, very, very easy to use your coach house, and that's what we stress. Bigger coaches require just much more detail. We've tried to keep things as simple as possible, and I hope this video helps you understand kind of how easy it really is to operate a coach house. Now in our starter kits, I talked about a couple things. We have a pressure regulator for your water hose. I have seen cases of these not work because the campground's pressure is inadequate, and then you're cutting it down even more. We actually did a rally up in Savannah one year, and we took them all off. Everybody's motorhome, because they couldn't take showers. There wasn't enough water. So these are kind of an optional device. We pressurize our water lines to over 120 pounds for, I think it's 10 minutes. So we make sure there's no leaks in any of our fresh water lines. So we give these to you, and some people like to use them, but bear in mind, if you're running into problems, you don't seem like you have enough water pressure, take it off, don't use it. Now the other thing I like to tell people is in this, we have a 30 amp adapter. It looks like a plug you would plug into your house. These we give you, they're very, very common because in essence, it's exactly what it's for. You plug your 30 amp cord into this adapter, like so, and then you plug this into an extension cord that you're going to run into your garage or say an outlet on your house or whatever. This is only either 15 or 20 amp depending on what circuit you're hitting in your house. So what we find, these are great to turn lights on, low power. You're not going to run your air conditioners. You're not going to run your microwaves, especially if you have a long feed. The longer the feed, the worse. And a lot of times we run into conflict with these because what happens is you'll have a ground fault in your garage or an outlet that you're plugging into. Ground faults don't like ground faults. We have ground fault protection inside the vehicle. So when you plug this in, sometimes you're going to pop a ground fault, whether it's in your garage or here, because you're doing 2 ground faults for the circuit. It doesn't like it. So we recommend to people, this is good for low power. You can plug it into your house, help keep the coach charged. Again, with lights and water pumps and TVs, you know, small appliances, small things that will operate just fine. Now, in addition to this vehicle, what we have done, now that I've got it stuck on there, what we have done is we put a surge protector inside the coach. So a lot of people want to know, should we get a surge protector for this when we plug it into the outlet that we are in a campground? And my quick, short response to that is it's not necessary, because you're doing basically the same thing that I just talked about with your automatic reset breakers in your house, or your ground fault is what I was looking for, the ground fault receptacles. You don't need 2 of them. So when you plug this vehicle into your coach, it goes into the vehicle, and there's a surge guard power protection system in there already, and that's in everything we build. So from the electrical side, it's kind of a neat feature to have, that you can do whatever you want with it, but know your limitations. This is considered a 30 amp cord. 30 amps goes into a 45 amp converter. It doesn't mean you can push 45 amps through it, because this will trip at 30. 45 amps covers all the heavy stuff, the air conditioner, in some cases the hot water heater. Now we're using Truman's, that's taken out of the equation. But Also the microwave convection oven. They're very powerful devices that require a lot of power. So you can run everything with it, but the 30 amp service is what we use in Coach House. The next up step from this would be 50 amp. The cord's about twice the size. It costs you generally, from what I've been told, twice the money to go into a campground because they're wanting to charge you for it. Unnecessary. 30 amp is more than adequate to run this vehicle. So gives you a little bit of idea of how these things work and how they operate. Now, another nice feature when you're ready to go or what have you is our sewer hose carrier. Our entire bumper becomes a sewer hose carrier. So by opening up the back door here, your sewer hose is right here. You pull it out and then connect it to your bayonet fitting. So very, very easy to use. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about our electrical system. One of the coolest things with Coach House is we use an inverter and we use a converter. When we were outside a few minutes ago, we were talking about how we have a 30 amp service cord coming into a 45 amp converter. This is our converter. Now what a converter does is you'll see 110 volt switches just like you would have in your house breakers. They're just breakers. So if something overloads or overheats, it's going to blow a breaker. Now next to that, along this whole series, are 12 volt fuses. And in theory, what happens here is when you bring power into the motorhome, 110 volt is going to be distributed where it needs to go. Your air conditioner, your outlets, your TV, your microwave, your refrigerator, pretty much everything that's going to run 110 volt is going to come in and be fed from this side of the converter panel. Now, the 12 volt, what a converter does is converts that 110 volt power to 12 volt. 12 volt is going to be things like your lighting, like your furnace fan, 12 volt side of your refrigerator, lights. You know, all of these little things are going to be controlled by 12 volt and they do not change. So a lot of people that have lower batteries, their batteries are low, they'll plug their units in and everything goes bright again. All that's doing is going through the conversion process of taking the 110 volt, distributing that where it needs to go, taking the 12 volt, distributing that where it goes. Everything's nice and bright and airy. But so we like to tell people that it is a converter. So it's going to convert 110 to 12 volt. It doesn't stay 110 to everything that you see in here. Kind of an interesting thing the way they work. Now, in addition to this, what we also do is with our new analog panel, we have an analog panel right here that's very much like you would find in a boat makeup. A lot of the marine industry uses it. And again, that's where we got our analog system from. So you'll have manual reset breakers on this big distribution box for all of your DC current. I also talked about the surge guard. This is the surge guard where the 110 volt power comes in, and if there's a fluctuation of current at a campground or they lose power, the power comes back on. This is a protection device so that you don't ruin your 110 volt appliances. So again, a really nice feature. You don't need to buy another one. They come standard in all the Coach Houses. In addition to this little compartment, on some models, Coach House has located the generators between the rear wheels just aft of the rear differential, just behind it. So it's right in the middle here. And why we did that is we were able to give a really well-balanced, more storage, and really a cool feature with these vehicles in the generators. Generators are typically on the outside. These are still serviceable. You can get to them, you can change oil, you can do whatever you need to do, but by locating them on the inside, they're well balanced, and we've provided storage all the way around the code. So outside storage is really cool. But what I was going to point out in here as well, the generator has a 30 amp breaker on it. We put a 25 amp breaker in here. So if you get an overload, it'll blow the breaker here and not on the generator. Kind of a cool feature. So you don't have to climb underneath there in the event you blow a breaker in the generator. Chances are the breaker that you blew is underneath here. Very rarely does it happen, but if it does, it's here and it's convenient, much more convenient than going underneath the coach. Now the second part of our electrical system is an inverter. And what an inverter does, it takes 12 volt, so your batteries, and it inverts it to 110. Now we've got a whole tower of power here that we call home, I guess. But this will monitor your battery levels for your auxiliary batteries. We have sea level distribute. This will show you the level of your batteries and your holding tanks as well. But this is a Xantrex. We use 2,000 or 3,000 watt inverters. Now, what does an inverter do? It takes the power from your auxiliary batteries and it provides 110 power where needed, 12 volt power where needed. So kind of a really neat feature. As I sit today, we're working on some other electrical systems. I don't want to let too much out of the bag, but as we stand right now today, as we do these videos, the Xantrex inverter will power up all of your 110 outlets, power up your 110, TV and entertainment stuff. It's not going to power up any heavy appliances such as a microwave and or the roof air conditioner. So I want to point that out, but it might be coming, so I won't let the cat out of the bag too much.